Hey, everybody. Hello and welcome in. It's time. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game. Thank you so much for listening. With the Dean, Hoppy Kercheval, the Senator, Brad Howe, and our special guest, WVU assistant basketball coach, Eric Martin. This is episode 192, Three Guys Before the Game. Today's program being brought to us in part by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. And by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. With all that is going on, you know how important it is to have the best managed IT services you can possibly have, best managed voice services, and that was exactly what Comax Business Systems provides to you. 24/7 remote monitoring, the peace of mind to know that when you need to be online, you're online. They've got your networks back. For the 8th time, they've been named an elite dealer in West Virginia, the only dealer ever in the state of West Virginia to win that prestigious honor by ENX Magazine. Visit them and get your back covered, comaxwv.com. Gentlemen, top of the day and welcome into episode 192. Quickly approaching 200 episodes, by the way. Hello.
What are we? Episode what?
192.
Dang. Do we get a giant cake again for 200? Remember that giant, huge, massive cake?
We have to do a cake. We had
it was like a 40-pound cake.
40-pound cake for episode 100. I would think maybe 2 layers of that for second 200 shows.
Probably take 3 people to carry it in.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was a 2-person cake. Heaviest cake I've ever seen in my life.
A lot of concern when we did the photo shoot for that.
Yeah, and we're going to do that.
Is that a homemade cake?
It was made locally at Terra Cafe.
Terra Cafe was wonderful.
A fantastic job.
Wonderful.
Terra.
I don't think I was here for that.
You know, you weren't. It was in the summer, when you vacationed.
When you took your sabbatical.
You vacationed.
Take summers off.
Barbados. On our program today, the latest questions and text from you, our wonderful listener base. But we begin with a very special guest. Please welcome to the podcast, WVU assistant basketball coach, Eric Martin. Mart. Hello.
Tony, how we doing, Tony?
I'm wonderful, man. Thank you so much for being with us, Eric. We do appreciate it.
No problem, Tony. I got a lot of time on my hands, so anytime you guys want to get me on, feel free to call me. I got a lot of free time on my hands.
We're going to get into that and how you guys are dealing with your free time, because it's something that's totally unusual for you guys this time of the year. You know what else I just thought? So Hugs just finished his 13th season. You have been here in Morgantown since Hugs came on. You were with him at Kansas State. Is 13 years the most, besides growing up as a child, most you've lived anywhere, right?
Yeah. Even growing up in Southern California, my family, we moved almost every 2 years. So to be living in one city, only time in my life.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm glad that it's worked out. All right, so obviously the first question is, Eric, everyone's world has been spun around. This, as we record, would have been the start of the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament today. How are you dealing with it? What is the line of communication that you have with the kids right now? And obviously, as recruiting continues, how are you putting this all together? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, the first week was the hardest week because usually when the season ends, you put a bow on one season and you open up another season, but ours ended so abruptly. It took me a week kind of get used to just being around the house as much as I was, but I've been doing a lot of talking to recruits and calling them a lot more than usual just because they're not playing either. So usually you'd be getting ready for an AAU tournament coming up in April, and like I said, I've kind of settled into my routine now, but it's really just having this much free time and not having any kids on campus, not having any games to go and watch. It's unusual, but I know I've spoken to a handful of our kids and said, hey, let's talk once or twice a week just so we can kind of stay connected and stay locked into what our goal is next year, which is to win a national championship.
And, Eric, I would assume with your current guys, as you mentioned there, you're checking in, having regular communication with them. They also have workout plans that you guys have sent, so even though that they're off on their own, they're able to still follow some off-season workouts?
Well, most of the time with guys, when they're off on their own, the basketball part, you leave that to them because guys that love the game, they know what they need to work on. the part that's really a struggle for us, and I haven't spoke with Sean Brown in a while, but I would assume he would have sent them strength programs. But the reality is gyms aren't open.
Yeah.
Most places, they've shut down anywhere where you can have interaction with another person. So to those guys, I say, hey, man, push-ups and sit-ups. Push-ups and sit-ups. That was my junior college workout. Push-ups and sit-ups.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not like working with Brownie, but it's better than doing nothing.
And that worked pretty well for Herschel Walker.
I was just going to say the Herschel Walker out there. Emart following the Herschel Walker workout there.
Right. I mean, do 1,000 to each of those, and don't worry about it. You're going to be absolutely fine. So you're dealing with a whole new world. Before we look ahead and how this is all going to play out, give me what has been going on in your mind, Eric, about the season that was just completed. And obviously the great question that will be unanswered forever will be, what would have this team done in postseason play? But even before we talk postseason, what was your take on regular season from this team?
Oh, I mean, I think we had a good season. I think we started out so well. We probably weren't as good as we were, right? Although we beat everyone on our schedule, I don't believe we were as good as we.
And we lost Eric Martin. Well, that could be a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, that could be
we'll
a
talk
challenge.
amongst ourselves.
We'll just talk amongst ourselves and maybe try and call him back on the line there. There's still some questions. There's some good questions to get in there.
I'll tell you what, you guys talk amongst yourselves, because I'm going to have to do – we should be honest with it. Be honest with you. And now, if we were on Sportsline, the producer would call him up right now.
We just say on the air, we'd like to get Eric back on the line, and he'd be back on. In fact, he may be on right now there, Tony. That might be Eric calling in himself. See how good this is.
Hey, Eric, is that you?
I tell you what, I had just given a hell of an answer to nobody.
Missed it all.
Well, I appreciate you calling us. So that was a good save. Ball was going out of bounds. He kind of jumped up, tipped it back in.
Well, not only did he jump up and tip it back in, we caught it and went in for the layup. We're just off and running again. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, get to the ball.
So you said that's interesting. You think that maybe you got overrated early, or at least were considered to be better than you actually were?
Yeah, and the thing is, Tony, our first 12 games, our toughest competition was Northern Iowa, Wichita State, and Ohio State. We beat all those guys. But anyone who has been in the Big 12 knows your toughest games are going to be your 18 games in the Big 12. And I think once you add in the travel, and we were young, we had a lot of new guys, man, that travel and stuff, you can't really prepare for it until you actually gone through it. And I think by the end of the year, our young guys had formed a toughness from being in so many close games on the road, games that we probably should have won, and to end it beating Iowa State the way we did, having a big lead, they coming back and then us finishing off and beating Baylor. I truly think we were rounding into form. I think we were going and have a great Big 12 tournament. Yeah,
I agree with you, Eric, and I think the Iowa State game in particular, that may be for that group and for this group of kids, that may be that one game where they start to build back up. So you get knocked around, and then they'll always look back to that and say, hey, we came back on the road. We can do this.
That's right.
And obviously played extremely well the game after that against Baylor.
Yeah. Anytime you can be the top 10 team, home, away, or neutral spot, it gives you confidence. But to me, what a great way to end it with senior night, with Chase proposing to his girlfriend, and Oscar, and with the dunk and Deuce. It was, man, I can't think of the last time we had a home win that just, what a perfect way to put a bow on the regular season. It was a great feeling. Those next 2 days, Sunday and Monday, I was still living off of Saturday, because it was just a great day, great way to end the regular season.
Coach, I want to go in a different direction. You played for Hugs for 2 years at Cincinnati. I think you were on a Final Four team, and we know how Hugs is. So when he got on your case, did you sulk? Did you bow your back and get out and do what he told you, or did you get back up in his grill? How did you handle that?
I did a little bit of all three. I think when I first got there, I pouted or whatever, because up to that point in my life, no one was like, you're not playing unless you do this. Now, they've said it, but they never did it. So at the first part of the year, I sulked. And then toward the middle of the year, it was like, I've already burnt my redshirt year, so it's not like I'm going anywhere. So I went back at Hugs, And then probably by the end of the year, I just bowled up. I'll tell you a quick story. I called my mom after maybe the first month of the season. I was like, yo, this guy is not who I thought he was. I didn't sign up for this. I don't. And my mom said, I didn't pick that place. You did. Make it work. And she hung up on me.
I love that. Mom knows. Mom knows. She's been through it all. Mom knows. Listen to Mom.
Right. After that, I bowled up and the reality was the more I did what Hug said and probably stopped being so chirpy my playing time went up. And I'm the type, win or lose, I want to play. But if we're winning, I'm not gonna balk at that. And I wanted to be a part of the reason we won. And I think we ran off like 19 straight. And my playing time went up. My relationship with Hug got better, and we won. So I mean, everything worked out.
So do you have to do that education with players now at West Virginia, or new players say, look, this is how it works. You know, this is how it's going to be, and this is so Hugs is not going to change, so you got to change.
Yeah, but the Hugs that coached me is not the Hugs who's here now. Although to this generation of kids, I can see them looking at Hugs the way I did back then. But Hugs is really he said this to me when I first started working for him. He said, Eric, back when I was coaching you and your teammates, I only knew one way to skin a cat. So that's the only way I skinned the cat. I'm 28, I don't know how many years later. I know different ways to go about dealing with kids nowadays, and these are different type of kids. So I don't do the same thing I did with you guys, and that just shows how good of a coach Hugs is.
You said something a second or two ago. Basically, it was this, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You tell me if you said you figured out if all you do is what Hugs tells you to do, then you're going to be fine. And the reason I bring that up, is that that's a fair assessment of what you said? Okay.
Yeah.
So I interviewed this week. I've interviewed Cam Thurman, Joe Mazzulla, and Wellington Smith. And not specifically looking for that answer, but at some part in the conversation, all three of them said the same exact thing. He always tells you exactly what he wants. Just do it, and you're fine.
Yeah, but if I would venture to say, if you ask all three of them, was it as easy as that when you first started playing for coach? All of them, including myself, would say it's not that easy.
Right.
I don't know if it's because we're young. You know, when you're young, you think you're invincible. You're better than you are. I mean, we all have a little bit of stubbornness, and that's the good thing about playing for Hugs. You're not going to out-stubborn him. I've never been around anyone who's out-stubborned him. So eventually the smart ones pick it up. And some guys are fortunate to where they just come in and they get it right away and never have to go through that learning process. I wasn't one of those guys.
Is some of that, Eric, because what he's asking you to do, you don't think you can do it? Is that why you rebel?
No, for me, it was, I don't like the way you talk to me. So if I knew you were going to talk to me like this, I'm out. But the reality was, Hugs talked to all of us like that. I look at it now and I was like, it'd be different if he was just talking to me like that, but he was talking to Nick Van Exel like that. Corey Blunt, Herb Jones, Terry Nelson, guys after him, Danny Fortune, Kenyon Martin, Ruben Patterson. At that time, that just rubbed me the wrong way. I was 19, 20 years old, man. I wasn't the most mature kid, and as I said, I had been allowed my entire life to get away with things because I could play and score the ball, and I was athletic. So the accountability that came with playing for Hugs probably allowed me to play 9 years afterwards, because there were guys professionally that I wasn't as good as, but I was tougher than, and I had been through the ringer. So you know what I mean? I had some resiliency, and other guys who were maybe more talented didn't.
All right, speaking of athletic and talented, let's talk some personnel here, Eric. And we just came off a season that saw Oscar have one of the best seasons freshman-wise in the history of this program. Led the team in 5 offensive categories, almost 6. As you start to push forward with Oscar, a guy that hasn't played a lot of basketball but was able to have that kind of season this year, what's his game look like next year? What parts of his game will take a big leap forward, in your opinion?
First thing is defensively. I don't know if Hugs will go this route, but we need to be able, with Derek and Oscar, we need to be able, if necessary, to switch ball screens. Where if it's a ball screen switch, guard him. We've got to get his footwork right. And as I told him, I've spoken to enough NBA guys that there are guys in the NBA that just rebound and can switch ball screens a la Tristan Thompson. Those guys are making $20 million a year. But it's not about NBA. It's about that would allow our defense to be that much better if we could just switch and then you guard the ball. We don't want him doing that a lot, but that's something he needs to do. And he's expressed to me, and we've talked about this year, he'd like to be able to step out and be able to shoot that jumper a little bit more. The thing I try and tell Oscar is, Oscar, that's good, but the one thing I've learned is the more you make that shot, the more you shoot that shot. And, I mean, we need to be able to throw the ball to either you or Derek on the block because both can score down low. And as you've seen with Derek and even Oscar sometimes, they both can hit a 12 or 15-footer.
Okay, so we're kind of jumping around here a little bit. So basically you're having conversations with Oscar, you're having conversations with Derek. Earlier this week, the question was, are both of those guys returning? And I think the word is as of right now. So you're under the belief, and every indication that you have is that they are coming back and that this roster, we'll even go further than those two, this roster will return as is right now with the exception of Brandon Napper. Is that your belief?
My belief is that Oscar and Derek are coming back, but here's the deal. There's so much time with these kids at home. You never know what person is in this person's ear. You never know what's going to happen, but as of today, as I talk to you guys now, yeah, besides Napper, everyone should come back. But I'm telling you, it's a different world we live in, man. Kids, I go back to the Aaron Harris, Terry Henderson. Aaron Harris and Danny Portson are the only two guys that average 18 points or more for Bob Huggins in his entire career. Aaron Harris wanted to leave. I'm still scratching my head over that. But he got advice from somebody. I don't know if it's his family, his head. I don't know who it was, but he decided to leave. Once that happened, I knew anybody on any team we have here could say, I want to leave, and it wouldn't surprise me anymore. Aaron Harris still blows my mind to this day.
Yeah.
All right, stay on the roster here for a second, Eric, because a guy that's getting a lot of talk here in the offseason, just because we haven't seen him now for a year, is Jalen Bridges. What have you seen from Jalen during this redshirt season for him?
Sean McNeil will probably try and say that's not true, but Jalen probably is the best shooter on our team. And you know what? Sean is, because Sean played a year in Division I. Jalen Bridges is the second best shooter on our team. I don't think it's close. And he's 6'7", 6'8". So anytime you can put a guy out there that can play the 3-spot or stretch 4, and you can spread the floor for Derek or Oscar if they're in there by themselves, it makes our team that much better. The way the game is played now, you can never have enough shooters on the floor, and that's what he brings us. And to have a year to see how things work and be in practice and compete, he ought to hit the ground running next year.
I got a question on a guy that's leaving the program. This was sent in by a texter, Dan. He'd like you to summarize Logan Rout's career at West Virginia. He says it's a great story, homegrown product, no better to tell it than his position coach. What was the beginning, and what are your lasting memories of Logan?
Man, the beginning was this kid ain't going to make it past this year. And the reality was that first year I was extremely hard on him because I didn't think he'd make it. I wanted to see if he had any
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to. Something to him. And once he made it through that first year, I was like, all right, I'm all in on you. Because I mean, there was a lot of treadmills going on that year for a guy who was redshirted. But to me, Logan Rout has made more improvement than anyone I've ever coached in basketball at any level.
Wow. And that's saying.
Right. And people are going to think, well, KJ, Joe Alexander, Devin. Yeah, but all those guys started with something. Logan came in, and he started from the ground level. He couldn't walk and chew gum, so I suggested we're not chewing gum this year, okay? We just need to learn how to walk and run. And he did everything I asked him to do. And, I mean, like I said, I cheered up a little. It wasn't a lot on senior night, but he and I have already had our talks about how I feel about him, and he told me how he feels about me. That's my guy, man. That's my guy. He knows that. That's my guy.
Do you think he plays professionally overseas?
Yeah, sure. And I told him, look, to be a professional, you just have to play 1 year. You know, everyone's like, well, I played 10 years. Man, if you get 1 year in, consider yourself luckier than 90% of the other players. And he played so well on that European tour. I'd be surprised in one of those cities, I don't know, Barcelona, Madrid, or Valencia, that he doesn't get a look because Logan averaged about 16 points, about 9 rebounds, and he ran the floor like a deer. So maybe it was the extended playing time since Oscar wasn't there, but, man, you couldn't ask for a better place to play the best basketball of your life. And that's what he did in Spain. I think anyone that was around our team would verify that too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, listen, hey, Emart, we really appreciate you joining us. We wish you the best in these unsettled times, and hopefully as this clears, we'll run into each other, but we wish you the very best and stay healthy, you and the family.
I appreciate it. To all of you guys, be safe, and we'll keep you guys and your families and the whole United States of America in prayer.
Got it. Thank you, buddy. Be good. See you. There he is. WVU assistant coach Eric Martin.
You know, the quality would have been better if he had been in Germany on Skype.
Isn't that the world we're living in? Seriously. Nate Adrian and Alex Ruoff were better in France and Germany.
They're perfect. Quality was perfect.
It was good there for a while. It's good there for a while.
You can invoke it's a podcast rule on that?
It's a podcast.
I mean, honestly, folks, I would have gone longer, but the line crapped out, so I wasn't going to do that. So
see, he's always an interesting guest though, because he'll give you some stuff, won't he?
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
I love talking to him on. We've had him on Sportsline a bunch. It's really interesting the things he brings. Take that Oscar for just a second. Think about what this team we've talked about and we've pushed ahead to look towards next year. And the reason I asked about those two guys, I think those are the two that really have some massive upside. If Jalen Bridges can come in and be productive after that redshirt year, look out with this team, right? And Oscar, if he takes a leap forward, you're dealing with an NBA-type guy. Think about how good the defense was for most of this year. If that comes together and Oscar and Derek learn how to switch those things, this becomes – you think it clamped down last year on some teams? You might hold some teams to 30s. Get a team in the 30s there if this defense gets better.
But you know what worries you is what Coach said. And I know the report a couple days ago was that Huggins expects Culver and Oscar to come back, and Coach said the same thing there. However, he also said something very interesting, is that these players aren't around now, and they're home, and they're talking to other people, and God knows what they're hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do coaches want more than anything? They want control. Right? They want to have control. And they worry when they have players and events that are out of their control. That's what's the big concern now. Should those two guys come back? Yes. Do they expect them to come back? Yes. But you don't know when they do come back to campus or what they've heard in the meantime.
It's true. The other part of that puzzle that makes this year so unique, you know who else doesn't know? The NBA guys don't know.
Yeah.
The NBA guys don't know what they're doing. They don't know when their season's going to restart. Their whole timeline is thrown off. If they, in fact, have a restart of their season that happens in June, July, or August, well, that changes what they're doing, right? Their ability to go in and start to look and prepare for the draft. They're very routine-oriented, too. There's a certain time of year when they start to dive into the draft. Well, if that's going to get pushed back and there's going to be a restart of this season, that changes the whole dynamic of what NBA front offices are doing and evaluating right now as well. So it may behoove some guys that normally would test the draft waters, or they would go to some of these workout camps where they would explode.
Right.
Well, those aren't happening, right?
Right.
Workouts aren't happening. So there, you may see some guys return to college that in normal circumstances may not.
I totally agree with you. And, Hoppy, it's gotten worse as far as people's ears. It used to be a player, the player's family, and the head coach would have these conversations and these decisions. Is he ready? Is he not ready? Now, basketball by its nature, more so I think than any other sport, has more layers of
intermediaries.
People.
Exactly. I was going to say counselors, friends of the family. The reality of it is this, folks. If you're a really good basketball player, 85%, I'm jumping, 85%, you're identified by the time you're in 6th or 7th grade, and your posse begins to form, right? Your 7th or 8th grader that's going to be a really good player, it just starts to percolate. It percolates. You start playing in the bigger AAU events in the spring, and by the time you're in 9th, 10th, you're identified. 9th, 10th grade, it's over. Now, I'm not saying that there might be a kid here or there that pops and gets a scholarship. I'm saying like really good players. So you think Derek Culver was recognized by the time he was in 6th or 7th grade that he was going to be a stud? Yes. Oscar, yes, stud. Jalen Bridges, yes, the kid's going to play, right? So more so than any other sport, basketball by its culture and its nature just has I'll call them entourages, and those entourages are the people in people's ears.
And Tony, also think about the differences of the entourage versus the coaches, because the coaches are still coaching them. They're still getting after them. They're still telling them, you need to improve here, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Sit on the bench. These other people you're talking about, they're sycophants. They're telling them all the time how good they are and how much money they can make. They don't necessarily have that player's best interest at heart. I think the coaches, these guys do. These guys do. So they're hearing these conflicting voices. They might not be emotionally mature. Very tough.
Absolutely. Here's a little stat you may or may not have seen. Senator, you're going to have to help me with the numbers here. John Rothstein, earlier this week, looked at 18?
I think it was 18.
18 players last year that transferred as graduate transfers from mid-major teams. They were in a mid-major, and they were averaging double figures on their team. 18 kids elevated up to Power 5, Power 6 in basketball. You know how many out of that 18 averaged double figures this season? 0. Now, all of those kids a year ago someone was in their ear going, man, you go here, and you're gonna be able to play your game. People are going to see you. You're going to be recognized. It's going to be right from there right to the NBA. No, because everyone always over values where you are in your game. It's never as good as people think. It's never as bad as people think. It's in the middle, same deal.
And yet the flip side is, when we talk about this in life a lot of times, it comes back to expectations. If you're a coach and you're going to get a grad transfer from a mid-major, your expectation should be you're putting a piece in place, not getting a alpha
NBA
dog
guy.
guy to lead you,
Right.
number one. Number two, if you're transferring up, your expectation should be you're going to mix in to a team that gives you some things maybe you didn't have an opportunity to before, i.e. playing an NCAA tournament.
Precisely.
Right? What was the kid, Makai Mason at Baylor, that went from Yale to Baylor? Now, he walks away. Did he become an NBA guy? Not that I remember seeing. I don't know if he's playing overseas or not. But he certainly had a fun, what I would say, if you'd asked that kid, he had a fun final year. Went and did a lot of great things, walks away with a Yale degree. That's pretty valuable. But then goes up and says, all right, you know what? I've always thought I was a Power 6 guy. Let me compete with these guys and see if I can do it. That kid certainly did. Had a wonderful season and played an NCAA tournament. It's about managing what are your expectations, and are they realistic?
Totally agree. Because guess what? If those mid-majors were going to be NBA people, they probably would have been going straight to the NBA after their senior year at the mid-major, right?
Correct.
Probably would have been.
Mason signed with Alba Berlin of the basketball, I guess, Germany.
He should. He was a pro.
Yeah, he's a pro player. Not an NBA player, but a pro player.
Undrafted in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, questions, and we're going to run all over the place here. Various football, basketball stuff. We're going to get into some stuff. We're going to get into that. But a reminder that this program has an unbelievable sponsor in the Burdett Camping Center, because they've got a 3-guy special offering a sweet deal to our listeners. A 177 BH Wildwood camper for only $10,900. Go to burdettcamping.com, or you can stop by Burdett Camping Center in Winfield, and you can check them out. Besides the 3-guy special, there is every brand you could ever imagine: Puma, Wildwood, Rockwood, and Coachman. And any other brand Burdett Camping Center carries, it's protected floor to ceiling with their warranty forever protection. And that does not add a single dime to the cost. What more do you want nowadays, right? A warranty forever? I'll take that deal. I'll take a warranty forever, wouldn't you? I got a warranty forever.
Sure.
Absolutely. You guys ready for some questions?
Usually it's a warranty for like 1 year, and you go, well, if it's not going to last 1 year.
Short period of time.
What the heck, man?
3 guys. This is this gentleman writes in 3 guys, then he capitalized the next word. So I'll read it as capitalized, because when you capitalize,
all caps or just the first letter?
That means it's screaming, he's yelling.
So he wrote 3 guys. Hello! On Monday, Jack from West Virginia asked about best win, most heartbreaking loss witnessed in the Coliseum. For me, Sean in Washington State. This is Sean in Washington State. The win was my 10th birthday, 1983. Greg Jones led West Virginia to an upset of then-rated UNLV, number 1 in the nation. Then he said the 95 overtime loss to Georgetown, led by Allen Iverson and Victor Page, the absolute worst.
Hey, Tony, on that UNLV victory,
right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, that UNLV was ranked number 1, but they lost a game prior to the West Virginia game.
Correct.
Before the new rankings came out, correct?
So the poll comes out Monday, they're number 1. They play a game midweek, they lose. They come to West Virginia, lose again. Yeah, you're exactly right. TC Hop Senator, first time, long time. Enjoyed the latest podcast with the reminiscence of the old games. I'd like to hear more from you guys on stuff like this. If you had to be, ready? If you had to be quarantined with 3 Mountaineers, past or present, who would they be?
Oh, my.
If you had to be quarantined with 3 Mountaineers, past or present, who would they be?
Let's see. I'm making a list right now.
Boy, 3 would be hard. This is harder than the Mount Rushmore thing. You know, Hoppy, it's interesting. We're in essence quarantined with Rashid every Saturday during our football broadcast. Rashid's on my list. He would be there.
Great guy.
Tony, we've been quarantined here with Adrian before on 3 Guys. He would be on my list. Gansey would be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Anthony Becht is in my discussion.
Yeah. I got Rashid. Maybe you got to have a wild card in there. Somebody though, and McAfee's probably too far out there.
He'd be entertaining. He would certainly be. He wouldn't be bored.
But also, it might be like, I got to get out of this quarantine. I can't.
I'll tell you one guy.
Beck would be great.
I'll tell you one guy I'm going with. Under Johnson.
Oh yes.
How much fun would you have with Under?
Oh my gosh.
I'd go with Under Johnson. I'd like to do this.
I can't get to 3. You know who else? You know who else has to be in the discussion?
Who?
You got to put Coach Nealon in there.
Just tell stories.
Yeah, you could just say, okay, how long we quarantined? We got 9 months in. Coach, go ahead, start back at Bowling Green. Let's roll forward.
Well, and on stories,
right? You wouldn't even have to talk. You'd save your voice. Let Coach Nealon just tell great stories.
He didn't go to WVU, but he coached here and he broadcast with Tony. Dwight Wallace, and not everybody's a good storyteller. Dwight Wallace is an excellent storyteller, and he's got a million stories. Dwight Wallace could keep you going for a long time.
Yeah.
Who sent that question? Do you have a name?
Paul in Taylor County.
Paul in Taylor County. That is a wonderful question, and we will use that forward. That will become a sports line question of the night coming up. That's a wonderful question.
Yeah, we might want to go with it tonight. Might want to use it tonight.
That's an awesome question.
Yeah.
Who else? John, did you say John Thornton? Somebody mentioned John Thornton.
Thornton would be a great one. Thunder would be a good one. You know who I'll give you an underrated one? You wouldn't guess this, given I just said Gansey. On that same roster, who do you think I would take? Love the kid, love spending time with him, but he wouldn't be somebody that would jump out to you with an overwhelming personality, but was awesome to talk with.
Alexander?
No.
Who?
Although Joe was great to talk with. J.D. Collins.
Yeah, he's interesting.
Quiet dude.
Yeah,
right? Didn't say a lot on a team full of a lot of personality. He was really quiet. I really liked J.D. when you sat down and spent some time with him.
Yeah. Well, I tell you,
Grant Wiley would be in my discussion.
Yeah. Too weird. He's too weird. He's gotten weirder and weirder. He was weird when he got here.
I love Grant.
I love him. He's just like, I tell him, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You're just a weird dude. He was weird when he got here.
Well, you need some entertainment. That's what Hoppy said. Need some entertainment.
Yeah, you got to have McAfee. You got to have somebody with stories. You got to have somebody who's just a good guy or a woman. It could be a female. And you got to have a wild card. You got to have a mix.
You know, it would be fun. He'd make you laugh like heck. Major was funny.
Major be good.
Major's funny. And you know who else? I'm going way back here now. Kevin Koken. Remember
Kevin Koken.
He was our starting center on the 88 team. He interned for us here at the radio corporation, and he was fun as heck. He had fun with that. That's a wonderful question.
Now I'm really.
All right, here we go. You guys ready?
Great question. I love that question.
Also,
awesome.
Here's this Portland, Oregon checks in. Curtis from Morgantown, but I live in Portland, Oregon. Who is next season's? He says 3 questions for 2 or 4 guys, depending on Hop's presence and guests in attendance. Who is next season's most improved player? You can go basketball, football on that. He's got 3 questions. You want to jump in that one? Let's do that one.
Most improved next year. Let me do basketball. Seems to be, you can narrow that down. He's your most improved.
Sean McNeil.
It's a good vote.
You mean from this year to the next year?
Give me, because I said it all year, so I'm just going to start now and I'll say it all next year. So I'll just double down for the next. Give me Emmett in a bounce back season.
Okay, fine.
Give me Deuce.
Okay. Football. Most improved. You want to go with one of those receivers?
That's what I was looking at, and I want to say Sam James, even though he had a monster year, for a guy that's in year one and had that kind of production, can he bounce forward? Winston Wright might be in there.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to go with? Guy that won the TCU game. Little Isaiah Esdell.
Oh, that's a good Isaiah Esdell.
All of a sudden, he came out of nowhere.
He did.
Right?
He had a nice season.
And maybe he comes out and starts making plays. I'll go with that. His second question. Who is the person who is MIA to start the season but comes on strong at the end of the season to make a huge impact?
In basketball, that was Emmett, right? Emmett did that again this year, was coming on late.
He had the first game and the last game.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he's referring these to basketball, I guess. Who's the person who is MIA to start the season but comes on strong at the end to make a huge impact?
You know who I'd like to see? It just depends on minutes and who's back, but Isaiah Cottrell could be that guy, right? You would expect it's going to take him some time to get acclimated early, but given his skill set, his body type by the end of the year, is he a guy you're seeing more minutes out of next year?
Mm-hmm. That's going to be an interesting situation there. Watch how he transitions into this. There won't be a ton asked of him early.
Yeah, which is nice for him.
Which is nice. Third question, will this coming season land Huggs the Big 12 Coach of the Year and his long-deserved Hall of Fame invitation? That Hall of Fame's so stinking hard.
Oh, you see
That's
the list this year?
I mean, do you see the people that don't get in?
Yeah.
Holy heck.
As we said, he's in. It's just a matter of when that is.
Yeah.
What is he now, 7th?
Sixth. Yeah.
So he's a
sixth
lot.
all time.
Yeah, it's just win.
But the Basketball Hall of Fame's weird that they do that while you're still active anyway. What are they doing? Is that the only Hall of Fame that does that?
Yeah, it's
you can be active?
How about Jay Wright?
For college coaches?
Jay Wright was on the ballot this year, didn't get in.
Yeah, how many natties?
Natties. Got natties.
Multiple.
He got natties. This one is mainly for you, Tony. Rank the Big 12 cities in order of the best food scenes, best dish you've had in each one. Sean from Virginia. Hello! I'll have to. I'll make it up. Sean, I can't do it off the top of my head. I would say Ames is 10th in food. I would say Austin would order the most. I had the best barbecue of my life in Austin this year. Hobby.
Austin, yeah. You get barbecue in Austin. Best barbecue I ever had in Austin was from one of those food trucks.
Well, that's what this is.
Yeah,
it's
it was just like
truck.
on the other side of town. Ben took me. Just go over here. Know a guy.
Yeah.
This isn't a full bracket, but because we didn't have the real brackets, a lot of people have been doing alternative brackets, right? Putting up different things in the bracket that you advance along. So this isn't a full bracket, but this is just like a mini matchup. What's the best barbecue you had in Austin?
That was Valentia's.
Valentia's?
Yeah.
Liked it? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Ate a lot of it?
Yeah.
Match it up with Bee's Barbecue. Well, we'd always go to East Carolina.
I know
it's
vinegar,
different kind.
Vinegar based.
I understand it's different kind. If they're both sitting in front of you, which one do you walk up and grab? They're both sitting in front of you.
Good Lord, dude!
I haven't been to Valencia's, but I think there are more places in Austin that rival Bee's. Okay.
Well, that may be. He's a giant Bee's guy. Bee's Barbecue. Talked about Bee's Barbecue all the time. Bee's Barbecue. We'd go to Bee's Barbecue. Talked about Bee's Barbecue. Lead time. Bee's Barbecue or Valencia's? If you had to pick. You yelled at me when I couldn't pick a Mount Rushmore.
Okay,
now I'm asking
fine.
you, pick one.
So here's the deal, folks. Eastern North Carolina is vinegar-based barbecue, which I absolutely adore. However, after 8 years in the Big 12, I've been getting a lot of red barbecue, right? I'm still vinegar-based barbecue. Done right, I go with that any day.
So you go to Bee's.
Bees.
All right. Made a call.
But I'll tell you what,
I'm hungry for
that
Bees. I
barbecue.
got that right now. That's stupid discussion now. At once I'm
thinking
starving.
about barbecue.
Next text. The Mountaineers are always in my heart, and I rarely miss a football game. After years of discussion, a close friend and I have started to attend one national rivalry game a year just to experience other atmospheres. We started last year with Army-Navy. If you could attend 3 non-WVU rivalry games, which would you choose? I absolutely would go Army-Navy.
Yep.
I'd like to do Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah.
And I've had great fortune to see and do Texas A&M. I've done Tennessee, Alabama. I've done Arizona State. I've seen a lot of those great
Notre Dame, US. Well, that's not what it used to be. Notre Dame, somebody.
Notre Dame, Michigan. I'd like to see Notre Dame, Michigan.
See, I would go. I like your first two. Army, Navy, I think has to be there.
Yep. They say it's unbelievable.
I like Auburn, Alabama. That would work. I would be give my third. I would like Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
I'd like to be part of that one.
Okay, I'll replace my Notre Dame, Michigan. I'll go Ohio State,
Michigan.
You know, I'm in on all those, and Army, Navy's at the top. I got this weird desire to see like a Pac-12, like Washington State or Oregon or somebody. Somewhere out there where it's misty and overcast and
rainy.
Rainy.
Well, as we said in the last podcast, the beauty for Kercheval is the Oregon State football series. A lot of times it's a doubleheader on a Saturday. Right?
They play 3 a week. They start.
Like
it's a 3-game series, like a baseball. 3-game series. They play one on Friday. No, this is what they do.
and then they play UCLA mix in, then they go back and play each other again. 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Then they have one game against Stanford, and the season's over.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously, I'll tell you why. Because we don't.
Yeah, why? Because there's people even that in the Pac-12 footprint that wouldn't say what you just said.
Well, because we love college football, but we don't really see that or even hear much about it because of the way it is. We were all excited when we thought they were going to play at 9 in the morning and see one of their games. So we kind of miss that. But every now and then, it's a big game in Oregon or a big game at Washington. The place is packed and rocking, even though it's raining. And I think that's got to be a great atmosphere.
What's their own fault? Get the Pac-12 network distributed in some markets, and you can see it.
You know what we could do, seriously, if when West Virginia has an off week, if this could ever work out, and it may not be this year, but it might be in the next couple of years, right? This is what we could do. You pick the off week, you take a look at Oregon's schedule. We call our boy, Rob Mullins.
Yeah.
Athletics director.
Morgantown native, two-time WVU grad.
Call Robbie up and say, Rob, we're coming out. Can you hook us up? And he would hook us up. We might be able to officiate the game. They might put us out to Pac-12, right?
You know, he'd hook us up so much, and I have experience wearing mascot costumes, right? In one of my former jobs, Hoppy, did you ever know that I was a mascot at a major Division I institution?
You were the mascot?
I was the mascot.
You were the Husky?
Yeah, I was, in fact. True.
Embarrassing.
True story. We'd be so hooked up, we might be able to wear the duck.
Here's the reality.
Might be the duck. Hey, Rob, here's the deal. We're coming out.
We're
just
never
one small
going to
request.
that game.
Can I be the duck for the first half?
We're not going to do that. That is not going to happen. Our schedules are too conflicted, and everybody schedules everything at the off week. We're not going to do that.
Wait, what is
we
that?
couldn't even make it to. We were trying to go to Cleveland. Of course, Beeline got fired before we got a chance to go to see the Cavaliers.
Small technicality.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, we should see that.
Hoppy, if you just put the flag down right now and said we're going to go to an Oregon game on the off week, and everything else just goes aside. So when people say, "Hey, I'm going to do this on the off," I'm sorry, I'm already going to Oregon.
Well, that is the way you travel. Is you plan and you say we're going, and then before you know it, the time's there and you got to go. But let's be realistic. Army Navy. Let's just go to Army Navy.
They do say home games though at Washington are unmatched.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
Kevin and next.
That was a long Pac-12 discussion in this, but who saw that coming? If you're playing Three Guys Bingo and you had that, congratulations.
Kevin in Princeton. Hello! Tony, after hearing...
You went Washington State. All right, go ahead.
After hearing the senator talk about his UConn championship ring, if West Virginia ever wins a title, will you get a ring?
Oh, yeah. You'll get a ring.
I would think yes, now that Oliver Luck's no longer the athletic director, because we always got rings. Fred Schaus, Eddie, always got rings. When Oliver came in, for whatever reason, no one got rings. I guarantee you Shane Lyons would go, rings. So I think the answer would be yes. I've got a ton of rings.
Do you?
Yeah, oh, my gosh, do I got rings.
How many bowl watches do you have?
Everything. I got a case of them. Never wear them.
Do you ever look at them? When's the last time you looked at those things?
Years.
You know what's interesting? Couple trends. Your bowl watch from the 90s
still works.
You can't even see it. It's so small. I mean, just the fashion trends, how things have changed. You go back and look at bowl watches. They are like infant watches. Like you put them on your 4-year-old. Like here, you want a little? They're little. And rings have also changed. I mean,
stupid big.
It's remarkable. We had Cam Thurman on Sportsline earlier this week, and I said to him, Hoppy, he's a guy that's been in a bunch of different places for work. Yeah. Works for Marathon Oil, right, Tony? He's lived in a bunch of different places, and I just said to him simply, of all the people, and those rings are not for everyday use. They're just too big and gaudy to wear. But I said for him, he should wear that thing when he starts a new job, you just roll right in the first day of work wearing that thing. because it's an immediate. What is that? Final Four ring, playing on Final Four.
Well, no,
I mean, it immediately said here. There's a conversation piece.
They're
but
so
if you go
big.
Back, they're giant. They're massive. I'm not saying he should wear it on his 4th Tuesday in the office. I'm saying his first day in, you wear the thing. But I went back and looked at the UConn National Championship ring the other day. It's like a pinky ring. Like it's minuscule compared
like
to
a high school ring.
Yeah.
Like a high school yearbook or year thing.
Yeah, you go to the Cure Bowl now and have a ring that's 4 times the size of a national championship ring from 25 years ago.
What was the bowl game that we went to, and there were 2 bowls? It was the same event, but it was a bowl, 2 bowls. What was that?
No, I know what you mean. We were the first bowl of a
in
2-bowl
Arizona.
thing.
It was the Arizona Bowl. Insight.com at the time.
There was another one. We were the bigger.
I think
bowl.
it was we were the bigger bowl.
Yeah, was that
Probably would be the
like
Gator.
Oklahoma or somebody?
Would it be the Gator?
You're thinking of, are you also thinking of the one in Florida where the Orange
Champs?
Bowl was coming next?
Yeah, Champs. We were in the Champs.
No, it wasn't that. It was the.
the point, it's irrelevant. The point is that there were 2 bowls, and so they had, the media gifts for one bowl and the media gifts for the other. And so we go in to get your media gift, and we were the better bowl.
Yeah.
So they say, which bowl is it? And you go in, and you got, what are the really nice shades? What are they? The
Maui Gyms.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the Fiesta Bowl versus the, I don't know what it was called at that time.
Really nice, $150 sunglasses.
The Fiesta Bowl gave those glasses
like
out.
one of the things, he had really nice sunglasses. My wife still wears them. Mm-hmm. And if you were at the other bowl, you got like, it's
one of those string backpacks you pull together.
I don't even think it was that. It was one of those things that nobody uses. We got the legal pad in it.
Yeah.
Folds open.
You know it's a bad gift when you get a notepad.
Notepad. The notepad.
You get with the leather on it.
Yeah.
Man, those are great. His last part.
But they were given away in the same room, so it was very class differentiation.
Win more games.
Last part of the
Better
question.
sunglasses. Go get 3 more wins.
Last part of the question. How many games, I think our listeners will find this answer interesting. How many games, basketball or football, do Hoppy and Brad get to attend? I know they do the Metro News coverage for football, so I imagine not many. So
0 football.
You guys go to 0 football games
yeah,
because
I went
you're in
from
studio.
Attending 11 or 12 every year for decades to 0 in football attendance.
In basketball, you went more this year than in the past.
Yeah, I'm an interesting case study, though. We talk all the time.
Well, you're nuts.
Well, okay, fine.
You can call it interesting case study. You call it crazy, whatever way you want to go with it.
Pot kettle during this discussion. But here's the thing. We talk about this all the time about college sports and sports in general has become such a TV product, right?
Yes.
I always contend I'm on the very front edge of the first generation that was not only comfortable watching sporting events on TV, but actually enjoyed it. I've said many times, I'm a most of my lifetime Cubs fan.
Yeah.
I've only been to Wrigley Field a couple times, one of which was this last spring. So I grew up on WGN at home in Iowa, coming home from school at 1:20. Games were on in the afternoon. There were no lights. I watched a lot of games. So I'm not only comfortable watching sports on TV, I actually like it and in some cases prefer it, which I know is odd for somebody that spent 20 years in athletics going to every single event live and being there in person. 2 totally different experiences, and there's a lot of neat and fun that comes with being live. But I'm also good, guys. You lock me in a room, give me a TV with the game, with nobody talking to me, nobody around me, no extra stimuli, and let me watch the game, and I'm really comfortable in that mode and enjoy that a lot.
I haven't been to a football game since I left the Mountaineer Sports Network.
8 years. Oh, no. Well, as long as...
Is that what it is? 8 years?
We've been in the league for 8. Were you in the Big 12 for a year?
Yeah, yes, 1 year.
7 years.
1 year. 7 years. And I tell you, we have a great time on Saturday. We got TVs going. We got barbecue. We're having a good time. I think, and I love watching and broadcasting the game and talking about it. I think if I went to a football game and sat there, I would be miserable.
Really?
Yeah, just to sit there and not be involved in the other things that we do would be very. I would not enjoy myself.
I get you. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Can I tell you something else?
Absolutely.
I woke up this morning thinking about this. I knew we were going to do 3 guys.
What time was it?
These are always good, too.
Like,
3:30?
I don't know, 5. Something like that.
Did you just get up or did you go back to bed?
I don't know, up and down. But I thought...
Not sleeping well?
What's up and down mean? Like out of bed or just awake.
I thought that, and I looked for a quote. I found a quote by Heath Ledger, and he says, "I have a lot of great distractions outside of acting." The late actor Heath Ledger said, and I thought, I have several great distractions too. Distractions, things that help you cope with everyday life, and we have been very consumed by what's going on with the pandemic. I mean, it's just all day, every day, and our coverage, and that's very important. I miss the distraction of sports. We have fun sitting together. I look forward to this because we sit together and we talk about these things. And there's sports news, and we come up with some creative things. I miss games. I miss being able, and Brad, you're a huge March Madness guy, but also I'm not nearly the fan you are, but I miss just like tuning and go, oh, here's a game. Yeah. You know, and watching the last couple of minutes, or looking at the Agate page in NBA, or all those things that are distractions and are fun to participate in sort of a distance. You know, if your life is a circle like this, and sports sort of intersects it, and you can be involved in that. You could, and now we don't have that. And I'm not that interested in what player goes where or who tests positive, but the games, the essence of sports, we don't have, and I really miss that.
Well said, and it's interesting that you bring that up on today as we record this, Thursday, March 26th, because you talk about, for me, one of my very favorite days in the sports calendar. You would have had the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament tonight, begins tonight and tomorrow. But today was also slated to be opening day in Major League Baseball, which is still, even though my baseball fandom comes and goes, that's always one of my favorite days. When the bunting is around the stadiums and the first pitch is coming and you get some cold weather in places nice enough. This today is one of the very best sports days of the year if things were running per normal.
And even if you're, like you say, you're kind of an elliptical baseball fan because the season's so long and it's almost impossible to follow. But at some point you'd check in and go, okay, well, what's this team doing? What's their record? What's that? And you would follow that. And that's not there. And that is a gigantic. And I think that sports on our stations on the network are doing a great job of playing these high school games back and covering other things and talking with the coach like we did today. But there's a huge void for those who have sports as an avocation.
I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree. And would you concur that we're just getting into this change of life?
Well, we're into this change of life, and we've talked about the new normal, and I don't know if anybody knows what that is yet, because this is such new territory that everybody is still figuring out as they go. So nobody's able to say, yeah, baseball is going to start here, basketball is going to start here, or there'll still be spring sports. Nobody knows. Nobody knows because they have to see how this is going to play out. So you don't know. Yeah, you really don't know. That's not people saying, we're not telling you. No, it's we don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are guesstimating or predicting. I think the only fact that's out there right now is this. We don't know.
Yeah,
that's exactly. The fact. The greatest fact is we just don't know. All right, I hope you guys that are listening in enjoyed it. I had fun. I enjoyed that. That was good. Senator, you enjoyed it? You had fun?
Did, yes.
Yeah. Well, we're here to make you happy. You feel better?
Yeah, I wanted to get that off my chest.
I mean, you needed this show, I think. I mean, I think you go in there from your 10 to 2 spot or 10 to noon spot, and I think you get worn out and beaten down.
Don't you go just by habit? You're at home in the evening, and before my wife and I settle in to watch something off Netflix, I go, let's see what's going on.
I got to score.
I've switched my default.
Nothing on
real quick. I know we're running out of time. I used to walk into the room and turn on 850 here in Morgantown. That was ESPN, and then I'd go from there. I go Food Channel now. I go 839 Food Network, and then go from there.
Yeah, it's going to change the way we live. It's going to change the way for at least a while. And I think some changes we're making right now will be with us forever. Some won't. We'll go back to our normal life, but some things will change, I think, forever. Episode 192, Three Guys Before the Game. Special thank you to WVU assistant coach Eric Martin for joining us. It's been brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They are your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems, comaxwv.com. By Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. Have yourself a safe weekend. We're back on Monday with another episode for Hoppy, for the Senator. Three Guys Before the Game is adjourned. See y'all.